charred tanker was still breathing stubbornly from his chest. In disbelief, the Soviet veteran immediately called the others to confirm it. Upon hearing the movement, the tankman slowly opened his eyes to assure his comrades that he still wanted to live. They immediately loaded him onto a truck and took him to the rear hospital. The doctors were amazed that he was still alive with 99.6% burns, but they were sure he wouldn't make it through the night. The female doctor agreed and walked out of the hospital room to smoke a cigarette, saying that he would do what he could. But after 21 days, the tankman didn't die, and in the next 3 days, all his wounds healed on their own. The doctor couldn't believe his eyes when he saw the new flesh growing. He asked the tankman his name and blinked in bewilderment. Then he asked what unit he served in, but he still had a blank look on his face, so it seemed that he had lost his memory. So the tankman was interviewed by the Soviet commander just after he recovered. According to the clues in the wreckage of the tankman's name was Ivan, and he was a hero of many battles, but he had no recollection of himself, and his expression didn't fluctuate in any way. Based on the fact that he had lost his memory, the doctors recommended that he be sent to the rear to recuperate, but the commander objected that the front was in critical need of experienced tankmen who could remember to fire and drive tanks, and who would be able to fight for their country in the war. So Ivan took the train back to the front, and when he saw the destroyed tanks on the train, Ivan stroked their bodies and listened intently to their last words. The officer was passing by and saw this strange behavior. He called Ivan down and asked him what he was doing. Ivan replied that he was listening to the tank's heart, and the officer, confused, asked what the tank had said. Ivan turned around and explained that this one was destroyed by a boss. This one was ambushed by infantry, and the T-34 in front of me was shot at by a white Tiger tank just like me. The officer gritted his teeth at this brilliant speech and exchanged glances with the adjutant, who agreed that Ivan was crazy. I was going to put him in a psychiatric hospital, but in the afternoon I caught a prisoner who worked in the German Army command. According to him, there was indeed a Tiger tank of unknown origin. He often appeared out of the smoke and shadows and once eliminated 15 Soviet tanks in less than 10 minutes without using any weapon other than the main gun, and then disappeared. Because there is no record of the Tiger tank, many people in the German army were afraid of it, calling it the devil of destruction. The Soviet officer didn't dare to hesitate and immediately reported this information to the command. The commanding general was convinced of the existence of such a Tiger tank. In view of the damage done, the general decided to destroy the tank immediately and ordered a T-34-85 tank to be fitted with a new gun and engine, and to call in the best tankers as members to do their best to kill the Tiger tank. Because Ivan had seen the Tiger, he was appointed commander of the T-34. The Soviet general was very pleased to see the successfully modified T-34, but looked at the three members and cocked his head. These three were the best tankers, but the general didn't believe them. He swung his head to the distance, and the men followed the line of sight. If they could blow up the silo within 800 meters in 2 shots, they would be officially appointed. The tank gunner carefully turned the hatch and used it as a shield to slowly peek out from the side, then quickly scanned the tank for 2.5 seconds and turned the hatch quickly to rush back to the T-34. But he was so scared he forgot to look behind him and saw a white Tiger tank appearing like a ghost ready to blow them to bits. The gunner not only didn't see it, but confidently told the captain that after careful observation the Tiger was gone. In just 2.5 seconds, the Tiger attacked from the rear and blasted the T-34 into scrap metal. Luckily, the T-34's rear-mounted engine kept everyone alive. The Soviet captain followed the Tiger's track coat and found a swamp. The track marks disappeared in front of the swamp, indicating that the Tiger had crossed it. The captain immediately ordered a search, but the adjutant said he'd searched 2 miles before coming here and hadn't found a single Tiger part. So the only answer is that the Tiger tank sank into the swamp by itself. When the captain told Ivan the conclusion, Ivan said it was a trick of the Tiger and that he would attack again. When the adjutant asked for proof, Ivan replied that the god of tanks had told him, and that the remains of the tanks behind him wanted Ivan to avenge them. The captain was furious. He was convinced that Ivan had gone mad and that he should be sent to a psychiatric hospital. Now that the threat of the Tiger tanks was gone, the Soviets immediately rallied their troops and prepared to launch a general attack on the Germans. As the anti-tank guns opened fire, the Su-152s opened fire and the German positions were heavily shelled. After intensive fire coverage, the Soviet T-34s came out in full force and carried the Soviets to victory. The T-34s entered the plains, and the situation was so good that a mist started to form around them. The Soviets didn't stop. They continued to advance towards the German positions, but in the mist, a gun barrel appeared, and at first glance, it was a Tiger tank.